నమస్తే, వెల్కమ్ టు నేషనలిస్ట్ హబ్. కశ్మీర్ గురించి, కశ్మీర్ ప్రజల బాధల గురించి, అక్కడి సిచ్యువేషన్ కి సంబంధించి పుంఖాలుగా మీరు ఇంటర్నెట్ వెతికినా, లేకపోతే ఈ డిజిటల్ మీడియా వచ్చిన తర్వాత అనేక అంశాలు ఈ మధ్య తెలుస్తూ ఉన్నాయి. నిజంగా మెయిన్ స్ట్రీమ్ మీడియా చాలా తక్కువ చేసి చూపించిన భారతదేశ చరిత్రలో అత్యంత దారుణమైన మారణ హోమం సృష్టించబడిన ప్రాంతం ఏదైనా ఉందంటే కశ్మీర్. కానీ దాన్ని మెయిన్ స్ట్రీమ్ మీడియా ఎందుకో కానీ చాలా దాన్ని తక్కువ చేసి సబ్సైడ్ చేసి చూపించే ప్రయత్నమే దశాబ్దాలుగా చేసింది. కానీ ఈ 5-6 ఏళ్లలో, ఈ 6-7 ఏళ్ల కాలంలో, ఈ దశాబ్ద కాలంలో డిజిటల్ మీడియా పెరిగిన తర్వాత కశ్మీర్ గాథల గురించి, కశ్మీర్ రక్త సిక్తమైనటువంటి చరిత్ర గురించి అనేక రకాలుగా మనకు మాధ్యమాలకు తెలియజేయడం వల్ల అప్పటి పండిట్ల ఊచకోతల గురించి, పండిట్లు శరణార్థులుగా ఈ భారతదేశంలోనే వివిధ ప్రాంతాలకు వలస వెళ్లిన పరిస్థితి గురించి మనం తెలుసుకోగలుగుతున్నాం. సో ఆ క్రమంలో భాగంగానే నేషనలిస్ట్ హబ్ ఆర్టికల్ 370 రద్దయిన తర్వాత కశ్మీర్లో పర్యటించడం మీకు అందరికీ తెలిసిందే. కశ్మీర్లోని ఉగ్ర ప్రభావిత ప్రాంతాల్లోకి మేము వెళ్ళి అక్కడి నుంచి కశ్మీర్ల ఇళ్లు తగలబెట్టిన దుశ్చర్యల గురించి, తగలబడిన ఆ ఇళ్ల నుంచే గ్రౌండ్ రిపోర్ట్ చేస్తూ నేను అనేక వీడియోలు మీ ముందుకు తీసుకొచ్చాను. ఇప్పటికీ మీరు నేషనలిస్ట్ హబ్ లో ద రియల్ కశ్మీర్ పేరుతో ఆ సిరీస్ ఆఫ్ వీడియోస్ ని మీరు చూడవచ్చు. అండ్ ఈరోజు నేను ఇదంతా ఎందుకు చెప్తున్నానంటే 1990 సరిగ్గా 32 సంవత్సరాల క్రితం ఈ జనవరి మాసంలోనే కశ్మీర్ పండిట్ల ఒక లక్షలాది మంది పండిట్లు ఒక్కసారిగా ఆ ప్రాంతం నుంచి, తమ పుట్టిన గ్రామాల నుంచి వలస వచ్చిన పరిస్థితి. జమ్మూలోని శరణార్థి శిబిరాలకు కావచ్చు, ఢిల్లీకి కావచ్చు, లేకపోతే దేశవ్యాప్తంగా ఉన్న అనేక ప్రాంతాలకు ఈ జనవరిలోనే లక్షలాది మంది వచ్చేశారు. అఫ్ కోర్స్ 1980 దశకంలో మొదలైనటువంటి అల్లర్లు, ఘర్షణాపూరిత వాతావరణము అది కాస్త పెచ్చరిల్లి 1990కి వచ్చేసరికి డైరెక్ట్ గా మసీద్ నుంచి ప్రకటనలు వచ్చిన పరిస్థితి. మీరు ఈ ప్రాంతం నుంచి హిందువులు ఎవరైనా సరే వెళ్ళిపోకపోతే మీ ప్రాణాలు తీస్తామని హెచ్చరికలు మసీదుల సాక్షిగా వచ్చిన నేపథ్యంలో బిక్కుమంటూ ప్రాణాలు అరచేతిలో పెట్టుకొని కశ్మీరీ పండిట్లు ఆ లోయను వదిలి వివిధ ప్రాంతాలకు వచ్చి స్థిరపడ్డారు. అలా స్థిరపడ్డ వాళ్లలో ఒక వ్యక్తితో నేను ఈరోజు మాట్లాడబోతున్నాను. ఆయన ఆ రోజుల్లో 1990లో తన కుటుంబం పడ్డ సంఘర్షణ గురించి, అదేవిధంగా ఈ రోజు ఉన్న పరిస్థితి గురించి, ఆర్టికల్ 370 రద్దు జరిగిన తర్వాత పరిణామాల గురించి, డొమిసైల్ గురించి వారి అనుభవాల్ని, అభిప్రాయాల్ని మనతో పంచుకోబోతున్నారు. వారెవరో కాదు, డాక్టర్ కర్నల్ అశోక్ కంట్రు గారు. Ashok ji is working with SRM University right now as a professor in law department, and he's also an advocate by profession. He is a counsel of Supreme Court lo aina advocate ga panchestunnaru. At the same time Delhi High Court lo kuda aina advocate ga వాదనలు వినిపిస్తున్నారు. డాక్టర్ అశోక్ జీ ప్రస్తుతం మనతో ఉన్నారు. వారిని అడిగి అనేక విషయాలు తెలుసుకునే ప్రయత్నం చేద్దాం. అశోక్ జీ నమస్కార్.
నమస్కారం.
Ashok ji, in my introduction, I was telling to the people, viewers of Nationalist Hub, that about a Kashmir exodus, Pandits exodus in 1990. And you were there at that time. Actually, your family faced a lot of stress at that time. And your family also flew to some other place and as a migrants. Can you please recall or remember those events which have happened, really tragic events in 1990?
First of all, let me thank you for getting me to your channel. And now I must come to your specific question. 1990 was when this whole exodus process was triggered. But it had a prelude. And prelude happened in February 1986. And when a lot of turmoil happened, particularly in the southern districts of Kashmir Valley. And it was almost the same kind of situation that had happened in the late December of 1989, but somehow it was controlled when army was called out at various places, and things could not go beyond some intolerable or unprecedented level. But 1989 and 1990 was a very terrible time, because it was a moment when national government had some different national government had taken over, and at the same time in the valley, all administrative apparatus had almost succumbed to the terrorist pressure. And what triggered this whole situation was that entire system was taken over by the militancy, backed with some ISI operatives who were operating in the valley. And their main aim, you can get some of the media reports at that time, newspapers were publishing the notices against a particular community of Kashmiri Pandits to leave. Some of the prominent newspapers like Aftab was a very prominent Urdu newspaper, which was publishing the notices on its front page under the masthead, asking the people of the Pandit community to leave the valley.
Okay.
Otherwise, they will have to face the brutal consequences. But still, there was a reluctance for the community or the group of the people who were living there for last, say, more than 7,000 years, and who had their roots in the valley. So ultimately, 19 January 1990 was, it was a watershed day when nothing worked in favor of the minority community, Pandit community, and they had no other option than to leave the valley under very difficult circumstances. Either they had to face, they were facing the threat to their life, either they had to face the gun or they had to face the uncertainty. So uncertainty was the choice. They had to leave and get to land themselves.
Ashok ji, where you used to live? Which part of Kashmir Valley?
I'm resident of Anantnag.
Anantnag.
And yeah. So actually in February 1986, that was that kind of, I was talking about that prelude that happened in and around Anantnag
area. Correct.
It was very, very terrible, and it was reported by a lot of newspapers, but we reported in detail by the week.
Can you please tell us about your family? Your parents, what were they? Were they working or?
My father was working. He was a principal, teaching there. My mother was a housewife, and with young daughters there, I was working. Being eldest member of the family, eldest son, eldest child.
Okay.
So that was the situation, and at that time we were left with no option than to leave the house, leave the belongings, leave whatever we had, and then to seek asylum and land ourselves in the camps at Jammu.
Okay. Leaving the birthplace or a village is a big tragedy in anybody's life. I can understand that pain. What was the triggering point at that time? Why did you leave the place? What are the threats you faced? Personally or family-wise?
Well, actually, these terror outfits had created some say hit lists.
Acha, okay.
And some of the leakages would happen, and some of the leads would come out from the places where they used to operate, and some of the people who used to get these leakages, they used to inform, and sometimes, as in case of my family, they got the direct threat, leave, or some notices were fixed on our walls, which were written in Urdu, leave or perish.
Okay, directly.
Yes, directly notices, handwritten notices pasted on the walls of our gates or houses or like that. It happened to us. It happened to us.
Did anybody support it? I mean, locals, like even from the Muslim community, did anybody support you, your family at that time?
Support was not direct, but indirectly, there were a lot of people who didn't like that. But there was a terrorist threat. Nobody would like to go against what terrorists who were backed by ISI were doing. And at the same time, somehow or the other, I do not know how the security situation was being managed and what were the leads that security was getting, intelligence leads I'm talking about, whether they had this kind of information or not. Was it a security, this intelligence failure, or was it something that they couldn't do to seek protection of the community, the Hindu community?
Ashok साहब, आपको भी पता है, Ashok ji, आपको भी पता है, I mean, lot of people were saying that Mufti Muhammad Saeed was the home minister at that time, 89 and 90, subjective correction, where the exodus was happened. At that time, he was the home minister. He came from Kashmir and he represents Kashmir in many ways. Even his daughter is representing PDP party right now. So, do you think, is there any conspiracy or his personal involvement in this exodus, in this threats and supportive system of whatever you say, the intelligence failure and all the bullshit will happen if someone who is in the chair decides?
No, actually, we believe in a theory. It's a very scientific theory that cause and effect. We can judge what the cause through the effect.
Okay.
I mentioned about February 86. There was a government called Ghulam Muhammad Shah government, which was there in place with the support of some Congress MLAs who had defected, National Conference MLAs who had defected from National Conference and supported by some of the Congress members and all that. I do not want to get into party politics. But Mufti Muhammad Saeed, at that time, he belonged to Congress. He was a Congress president. And somehow or the other, there was some politics was happening. And February 86 led to the fall of Ghulam Muhammad Shah government. And they wanted that this government should go. It had a support from some kind of central leadership also. And that group ultimately created that Jan Morcha. This Mufti Muhammad Saeed, he was part of the Jan Morcha. He contested from, because situation was not good at this valley. He contested from Muzaffarnagar. And Arun Nehru was there, who was at that time, when this February 86 happened, he was Minister of State for Home Internal Security. And these were all closer together, and somehow or the other, people suspected it that this was some political game plan to oust the James Shah government. And what was the response of the people? They created their Muslim United Front. And Muslim United Front was what this present Hurriyat was. Present Hurriyat was Muslim United Front at that time, and they were in the election process. And somehow or the other, they couldn't make it to the assembly. I do not know what happened. People make allegations about the riggings. Riggings was order of the day in the valley. None of the elections, as it happens now, were fair. So you can suspect that there may be some rigging, but since there is no proof, I cannot produce evidence, but allegations of rigging were there. But what I want to say is that Mufti Muhammad was supporting this MUF. He was supporting MUF.
Okay.
So MUF later on, the disgruntled workers, some of the disgruntled workers, some MUF later on became cadres of Jammu Kashmir, this Liberation Front, and then Hizbul Mujahideen. These were two very lethal terrorist groups who were operating at that time. It started with JKLF, and then Hizbul Mujahideen came in, and there were some fightings also between these two groups, but they were prevailing. Their writ was prevailing. And sometimes they caused some mutual killings also. They had some targets amongst each other. There was some, then till they came to fight on the road. But finally, JKLF weakened because its cadres couldn't remain intact. Then Hizbul Mujahideen remained on the show, and that Hizbul Mujahideen gave it some kind of religious turn. Back, they were much back with eyesight.
Okay.
And still it is there. Their cadres are there still. Okay. Operating from Pakistan, they are not successful in the Valley right now. But Sayyid Salahuddin is in Pakistan.
Okay.
Who is heading this Hizbul Mujahideen. Then later on they created Lashkar Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, and so many things. This is all what is happening with the help of ISI and how they are operating in Valley and different parts of country. But they triggered this ethnic cleansing, and it was with the intention to create a monoculture, an Islamic monoculture in the Valley. But it hadn't the 100% support of the local population.
Okay.
Maybe the people were silent, but they were not happy about these developments.
Can you please recall the particular day when your family left the valley, sir? The particular day.
They left earlier. They left some earlier to 1990. It is 19 January 1990. 19 January was the day when everybody left.
Everybody left. Mass exodus.
Everybody. It was the final call to leave the valley, and there was no way out without leaving, either to perish or to face the uncertainty. So better choice is the uncertainty than to perish. But my family, who were facing a lot of threat, they left earlier to that.
Oh.
Because there were some targeted killings had happened in and around Anantnag. Some of the people were targeted, who were killed, and because of these crazy reasons. There were no reasons why they were killed. There were some crazy reasons, and the entire administration had failed. They had succumbed to the terrorist pressure, and there was no sense of security. There was sense of uncertainty, and only way out of this difficult situation was that you had to leave. So people left.
Didn't you approach the government authorities or police? Did you get any support?
No. Institutions were not functioning at all.
Not at all.
When I said that entire constitutional machinery had succumbed to the terrorist pressure, that means not even thanas, not even say district level offices, not even state level offices.
Nobody was working.
They were not functional. Even Chief Minister had fled to England.
Chief Minister,
I do not know why he fled. Maybe he was facing the threat. I do not know.
Who was the Chief Minister at that time?
Dr. Farooq.
Farooq Abdullah.
Yeah. He left and he spent his time in England.
Yeah. Okay.
At this juncture.
At the juncture, yeah.
At this particular juncture.
So not reacting is itself a sign.
Maybe this is the direction of duty when you are in chair and you cannot leave your responsibility. This is the classic case of dereliction, and if somebody does it and it has some remedial mechanism, you have to put in some rules in place how to handle such people. But I do not know. This is all about politics. And then there was some very shameful that moment when some terrorists were released under the pressure of abduction of daughter of the Home Minister. This is not the entire story, but the chief secretary at that time, he had written some article in some newspaper quite recently that after retirement, that this release was done at the behest of somebody who wanted to take revenge from the administration.
Okay.
So administration was just wrangling among each other. Some political wrangling was happening, and they were inactive, they were not working. Some part of the administration, they had succumbed to the terrorist pressure, and entire constitutional machinery had failed.
Rest of the country, like, even in Hyderabad, we feel like Kashmir politicians, bole to, Farooq Abdullah family and the Mufti family will be there. Firstly, Abdullah family, Sheikh Abdullah, Farooq Abdullah, and Umar Abdullah, Mufti Muhammad Syed, now Mufti. The entire two families are there. They were the rulers of Kashmir. We understand in that manner only. Farooq Abdullah was a chief minister when Exodus happened. And Mufti Muhammad Syed was the central home minister.
Home minister. Yes.
But still Kashmir burnt like anything. And they are not apologetic about their actions also. Not taking action is also an action, sir. That is what I can say. Not taking an action, not reacting to the such tragic situations also is an action, sir. How do you feel, and how do you, what is your opinion on these political families who were not apologetic at this Exodus even, right? Even today also they are not apologetic. They are not explaining anything to the people. They are not bound to explanation also even now today.
Look here, sir. As a student of law, I can simply say that when such failures occur, there's a union home minister, there's a chief minister of the state, and there is lot of say confusion. You do not know who did what.
Correct.
But everything can be settled through a court of inquiry. This was not only an exodus. This was at the same time an Holocaust.
Holocaust. You're right.
Yeah. You can understand that quite recently, just a couple of days before, some 75 years old case from Netherlands, it was solved, who was the mystery of a Jewish family, who was the person who to eliminate them. Maybe somebody from inside, somebody from the administration. I do not want to get in that detail. Since Holocaust is there, some court of inquiry has to happen. So this Holocaust has never been investigated. This thing should be put to the court of inquiry, and this should be investigated whose role was what.
Correct.
So I cannot say anything with that. I can suspect only. I can simply make guesses. Guesses could be right guesses. Intuitive, I could be intuitive about the things. Say my intuition, say my guess is this, I can suspect like this. This is my limit. Even if I have seen things with my eyes, I cannot prove it because there's a limitation. It could be my opinion. But once you put things to the inquiry, when these Holocausts happen, there's a standard procedure. That standard procedure is that you have to since it is a crime to kill the people, mass killing of the people, and administration looking a silent observer. So everything is being settled under the legal system through the courts of inquiries, and people are to be brought to the book. Even presidents of the nations like Milosevic, he had to face the trial at the International Court of Justice. He's in the jail. There was Nuremberg trial, there was Tokyo trial, and people have been punished for that. And this is a kind of Holocaust where no cognizance were taken. And number two, then this exodus happened. How this exodus? This is not simple exodus, this is displacement. And under international law, this is as good as a major humanitarian crisis that happened at that time.
Correct.
of the at point of time. And there are standard operating procedures. There are standard rule-based mechanisms
Correct.
to handle these things, how to investigate these things, these humanitarian crises and all that, and to see what happened in the state, who came and who is coming as a refugee and getting settled. As per the United Nations Security Council resolutions 1456, 1566, 1373, nothing has been operative in the state of India. I'm talking about in the state of India, while it is obligatory, being a signatory to the resolutions, it is obligatory on the part of our government, the then government, to make this Article 253 of the Constitution operative, to give passage to these international resolutions, while they have been signatories, to put standard operating procedure in place, which has not been done. So it makes the things more suspect.
More suspect. Yes,
Everything has been pushed under the political carpet, and nobody, I believe, has taken any initiative to investigate these things.
Okay.
This should be subject to investigation.
But that that is applicable only to the rest of the India, I think, not to Kashmir. Yeah, I just want to remind you that Godhra rights, post Godhra rights, that chief minister of that then Gujarat chief minister was Narendra Modi. Narendra Modi have gone through the court trial basis, legal procedures and all. Sit inquiry happened. I mean, hours of inquiries he attended, right? So he was gone through.
Yes, sir. Inquiries have happened but this is not that serious case. Gujarat, maybe whatever that is not a serious, that much serious in comparison to this one, where you have
Kashmir is more dangerous.
There's a displacement. There's a kind of this is parallel to the refugee situation.
Yeah,
this is parallel to the refugee situation, where international law is applicable.
Yes,
I have mentioned about the various resolutions. I have mentioned about international humanitarian law. I have mentioned about international, say, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, say, political and civil protocol, civil, social and cultural protocols. Entire things have been demolished. So economy, society, culture, the civil rights, political rights, entire gamut has been destroyed, and they are not living a refugee status. This is not a refugee status. Simply migrants. They have migrated. Migrated. There could be some political, these economic migrations. There could be some labor migrations. There could be some voluntary migrations. This was not even an involuntary migration. So forced compulsion to displace a particular group of people on the basis of religious criteria and pushed through some international conspiracy. Correct. When we say ISI did it, when we say Pakistan did it, it should have been put to the inquiry and things should have been brought to the notice of Security Council.
Nothing happened, right?
India recently was chairing the chair of Security Council. These things should have been brought. See what Pakistan is doing. They are pushing in dossiers after dossiers to the Pakistan about the terrorist acts. 2011 Bombay, dossiers have been sent to the Pakistan. Matter has been raised at Security Council so many times, United Nations. And in this situation, it is again a serious situation. This has been perpetuated by Pakistan, and this entire exodus has been triggered where the humanitarian laws, cultural laws, social laws, economic laws, which is protected under international protocols, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, different protocols related to humanitarian, say, protection, different protocols which are related to the refugee status of the people, different protocols related to the international crimes. These are international crimes. These things have not been investigated even nationally, even locally, by the local police stations. Who killed whom? You do not know. Who has been prosecuted for killing somebody? Where is the FIR? What is the result of? Has any closure been given to it? No. Today we can say, take cognizance in case of, say, what happened to Netaji. We can take cognizance, take the matter to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court sets in an investigation team, and we can pursue it. Files are being prepared, reports are being worked out. In this case, nothing happened. No, not a single report has been done. So this has left a lot of, say, legal vacuum. And this legal vacuum is very serious.
Correct.
It's in relation to the criminal justice system. It is in relation to the failure of the constitutional machinery. It is in relation to the international crimes. Where in some cases, International Criminal Court can take cognizance.
Correct.
And even heads of the states have been jailed.
Okay. You were thrown out of your own place by the name of religion, isn't it? Only because of the religion, religious identity, you were thrown out of your own place. After 32 years, even today, even after so long, 3.5 decades after, even today you're asking for justice.
Justice.
What is justice according to you?
Justice, I believe that 1990 and pre-1990 needs to be investigated properly, and those who are culprits, they need to be brought to the book. And even if there is even an iota of international content of international criminal law is being attracted, so they should be brought to the book in the International Court of Justice through some complaints. Number one. Number two, losses you cannot compensate. Correct. Losses you cannot compensate, but still some kind of relief is needed to be given to the government. Then still in your own country, how long a person can stay as a migrant? You have not accorded any status. Say internally displaced or refugee. This is a refugee kind of situation. When you have camps, and sometimes these camps have become agony in themselves. So everybody is registered in the camps. So today, I have to move out of the camp and seek a job. I have to move out of the camp and come to Hyderabad or Chennai or Mumbai or Pune to seek a job. So that's a different story. That's a different story. But my address is a camp. What is the name of the camp? Under which law this camp has been created, I do not know. Camps can be created under international refugee law. Correct. Have you any national policy about creating camps? Permanent camps for 32 years. Such camps are being created under some international law, or you have some national policy regarding creating these camps. But my address is a camp. If you ask me your permanent address, I will say this is camp number this. Everybody will say like this. This is the kind of injustice that needs to be addressed.
Do you observe any difference between, before 2019 and after 2019, post abrogation of Article 370? Do you observe any change in Kashmir?
Right now, it is not very simple to comment on that. But one thing is that under the garb of 370 and 35A, lot of irregulations have happened. And all these culprits have taken refuge under this umbrella, what we call 370 or 35A, because they have subverted this whole mechanism to their own benefit, to their misdoings, to their criminal deeds and acts. I believe that this exodus would not have happened if 370 was not there. It would have never happened because some kind of intervention was difficult. Because before 370, we have a system we called under a constitutional process called eminent domain. The entire territory and sovereignty of India is under the control of state of India. But the eminent domain in that particular territory was not with the Union of India, it was with the state of this thing, Jammu and Kashmir. And Jammu and Kashmir, who were the rulers, who never like themselves to apply the law of the land. They applied law of their whims and fancies, and they did whatever they wanted to do. That was the main factor that created inequities, injustices, and to everyone. This is a classic case of international conspiracy of ethnic cleansing. This is a different thing, but a lot of irregularities happening. So 370, removal of 370 not only removed these disparities, but created lot of mechanism for accommodating a proper justice system. It could be social justice, I'm talking about. Protection to scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, protection to minorities, protection to, I'm not talking about constitutional minorities, I'm talking about economic minorities.
Oh, yes.
No, there are nothing religious, no word like religious minority exists in the constitution, but minority is a product of international developmental process where economic minorities, it could be 80%.
Correct.
Not have nots. So system is now working for them. It has a lot of scope to work for them who were ignored. We had these Valmikis from Punjab who are now open to this justice system. We had some refugees from Western Pakistan who had crossed the international border, who were not given any kind of status in state of Jammu and Kashmir. Just in the country they have become citizens, because that was the mechanism that was drawn out of the Indian Independence Act. Even the provisions of Indian Independence Act 1947 were not applied. Scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, no protection. So at least this the mechanism for delivering justice has been made operational. This 370 has made a lot of the removal.
Is there any challenges in this domicile issues?
There could be challenges, but with every challenge there is an opportunity.
Do you think now the process is smooth and fair as of now?
In every change, there are difficulties.
Of course.
But difficulties always create openings for opportunities. So this is a huge opportunity for the entire nation to use this opportunity to create a nationalistic situation in a particular place which was subject to the ethnic cleansing, where our basic fulcrum, Article 14 of the Indian Constitution, was not protected at all. This is basic fulcrum of the Indian Constitution, which accommodates secularism, which accommodates all the rule of law, which accommodates everything which is very special about our democracy. That was not operational. Now there's an opportunity to make that operational through fair and elections, to giving the right to vote and opportunity to everybody, to create a business atmosphere, to create an economic opportunity, to create culture. Now Srinagar city is under the protection of that UNESCO, heritage city. Saffron, Pampore saffron has been given the geographical GI status, geographical indication. This is happening now. These are not very petty things. This may be theoretically we may say, okay, this has happened, but this needs a lot of work to be done at global level. You have to go to UN level and to do, and this has been done. So whatever is happening there, maybe that everybody is not getting to the understanding what is happening, but it is happening. The fundamental changes are happening, which may create a wonderful atmosphere to strengthen this Article 14. Article 14 is right equality. Secularism, your rule of law, these draw their spirit from this article. So this article will get strength. It is getting strength.
So what is your message to the people of India, other than Kashmir? What the Pandits community is expecting from the country, I mean the nation?
To have an understanding of what is happening, what has happened, and particularly the watershed movement, this withdrawal of Article 370 and 35A. How this will, how this has created the change, how it has been a game changer. People are yet to understand it. It is still a part of a political debate which goes nowhere. But it is something beyond a political or a social or a economic debate. It has a content of something, it is beyond the realms of this. Sometimes things go beyond the realms of consciousness.
You feel someday will come when you will go back to the particular place, Anantnag, or your kids will go there? I mean, do you have any hope in that?
There is no problem in going there.
No, settling down there.
Yeah.
So I can also go there.
That is what I want to explain. I will go there, spend some time there. I have
no
good friends there. Everybody, I am welcome there. But you have to eliminate that factor.
Fear factor.
The factor which has created this thing.
Correct.
The factor which has engineered this movement of creating an exodus. And engineering this exodus, engineering this ethnic cleansing, that factor needs to be removed. And you have to go also work beyond military, diplomatic, and strategy solutions.
Okay.
You have to have an understanding of each and every nerve.
Correct.
Each and every blade of grass there, which sometimes we ignore. We have to understand what is the nature of this herb.
Is that possible?
We have to. Why not? Why not? Some academic solutions are to be brought out. There are some academic solutions. You have to know about each and everything. Profiling of each and everything is needed. I need everything, every herb, every species, every plant, every glacier. Besides your human resources, besides your animal resources, besides your genetic resources, biological resources, heritage, human heritage, biological heritage, physical heritage, your past, your present, what you are, it is to be profiled. And some academic these institutions need to work in this direction.
Okay, I wish so, sir. I wish it will happen. Someday will come where Kashmir will be a pure Bharatiya state. So without having all these struggles, all these unwanted forces. So I wish and I hope for the best of the Pandits, and I wish you all the very best, sir. Thank you very much for spending time with us and sharing your experiences with us. Really, I don't think this is a happy thing. This is a tragic thing. We are remembering once again, and we are reminding those black days. This is really tragic thing, in tragic history. I wish we will rewrite this history with a positive notes. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for your time.
Almighty willing.
అది అశోక్ గారి మాటలు. ఆయన చాలా కాన్ఫిడెంట్ గా చాలాసేపు మాట్లాడారు, కానీ ఆయన మాట్లాడిన మాటల్లో నాకైతే వెనకాల ఉన్న బాధ చాలా స్పష్టంగా కనబడుతోంది. కశ్మీర్ లో పర్యటించిన వ్యక్తిగా, అక్కడి పండిట్లతో మాట్లాడిన వ్యక్తిగా, అక్కడ ఉన్న పరిస్థితులను చూసిన వ్యక్తిగా నిజంగా చాలా బాధాకరంగా ఉంది. 32 సంవత్సరాల తర్వాత కూడా ఇంకా ఆయన ఒక ఆశావహ దృక్పథంతో ఉన్నారు. ఆశలు నిజం చేయాల్సింది మనమే. సో మనమే ఆ రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ తీసుకోవాలి. కశ్మీర్ భారత్ లో అంతర్భాగం అన్న మాటని చెప్పడం కాదు, కశ్మీర్ ని భారత్ ని వేరు చేసి చూడాలన్న ఆలోచన కూడా రాకుండా, అలా ఆలోచించే వ్యక్తులని కట్టడి చేయడం, నియంత్రించడం, నిరోధించే విధంగా ఈ సమాజం పురోభివృద్ధి సాగించాలని కోరుకుందాం. కశ్మీర్లోని జాఢ్యాల్ని, ఈ మత మౌఢ్యాన్ని, ఈ ఉన్మాద ప్రవృత్తిని దూరం చేసే విధంగా మహాకాలుడు మనల్ని ఆశీర్వదించాలని, అక్కడ మార్పు రావాలని, ఆ దిశగానే ప్రభుత్వాలు ప్రయత్నం చేయాలని, ఆ ప్రయత్నంలో విజయం సాధించాలని కోరుకుందాం. చూస్తూనే ఉండే నేషనలిస్ట్ హబ్, మనసా వాచా కర్మణ, దేశ హితం కోసం. నమస్తే.